Hello again, class. We're going to be discussing section 3 of the review. Um, Unfortunately, I wasn't able to put all of these slides together, so I will be just focusing on the areas that are important. In section 3, we're going to be focusing on polynomial expressions, and we will be covering all of these properties and adding and subtracting, monomials and polynomials, using distributive properties, and multiplying binomials. All right, so in this first section, we are going to be focusing on adding and subtracting monomials. And the big thing here is we're going to look for like terms. Okay, so like terms. All right, and so like terms means that the base is the same. And so you'll notice here in example A, you have x cubed and you have x cubed here. You have x cubed here. And so this makes these terms the same. Even though this is x squared, the exponent is different, so it's not the same term. And these guys in the front here, I'm going to circle them, the 3 and the 5, these are called coefficients. All right, so you're actually going to add and subtract these coefficients. So 3 plus 5, right, is 8x cubed. Notice nothing happens to your term, and there's nothing to add or subtract the minus 5x squared, so that just stays there. Right, and see, the answer is the same. But that's what's happening in this first problem. So take a look at the problem B here, and so we have 4y squared. I'm going to box the ones that are the same, and honestly, if you're having trouble with this particular type of problem, I actually recommend doing this because then you can, it's easier to see. So we're going to, this is 4y squared, so this is plus in front of it, so it's 4y squared plus 3y squared, and that gives us what? 7y squared. And now we have 9xy minus, make sure you do that, 3xy, and that's equal to 6xy. And you'll see the answer is 6xy plus 7y squared, all right? So let's take a look at teaching example number 2. Now this is looks a little complicated, but you just have to remember to distribute this plus across, all right, all the way across. And so let's rewrite this whole problem. We're going to do 5x squared minus 2x plus 4 plus x squared minus 3x minus 5. All right, so we needed to get rid of the parentheses. All right, you need to get rid of the parentheses. And then let's combine like terms. 5x squared plus x squared. So I'm going to write these up top here. 5x squared plus x squared is equal to 6x squared minus 2x minus 3x minus 2x minus 3x is equal to minus 2 minus 3 is minus 5x. Notice your variables are staying the same, and then plus 4 minus 5. So this is plus 4 minus 5, and that gives us 4 minus 5 is minus 1. Now I'm not really taking the time of like, oh, how did you get to minus 5? If you can't do the adding and subtracting of integers, this class is going to be really hard for you. We're going to move very quickly, and that is a skill you need to do pretty easily, okay? And so here we have all of these terms, 6x squared minus 5x minus 1, okay? And you can see our answers are here, 6x squared minus 5x minus 1. So again, for B, for part A, they used X. For part B, they're using Y. So again, we're going to get rid of the parentheses, right? And this is a plus sign, so you just need to distribute the plus all the way across. This gets a little complicated when we are doing the minuses, right? You have to distribute that minus all the way across. So let's rewrite all of this out. This is y to the fourth minus 3y squared minus 3 plus 2y squared plus y plus 1. So y to the fourth, there's nothing there, right? There's no common term for it, so that's going to stay there, y to the fourth. Minus 3y squared and plus 2y squared. Okay, so we're going to do minus 3y squared. Let's box this up right here. Plus 2y squared. Minus 3 plus 2 is minus 1y squared. So that's minus 1y squared. And then we have minus 3 and plus 1. So notice the y and the y to the fourth do not have a term. So I'm just going to keep working down here. Minus 3 plus 1. Again, notice, oh, no, not the same. Minus 3 plus 1 is minus 2. Right? So y to the fourth minus y squared. So notice I'm not putting the minus 1 there. You don't have to do that. Plus y minus 2. Okay? So it's good to sort of write all of your work out. It's easy to make mistakes. That's the big thing in college algebra. It's very easy to make mistakes. There's a lot of bookkeeping involved. All right, now subtracting polynomials. So the first one we were adding polynomials, and now we're going to subtract them. And so we need to distribute this minus all the way across. Each term in this parentheses right here. So why don't we start right here? We're going to leave the first part the same, x to the fourth plus 4x squared. All right, so now we have to do minus x cubed. Let's try that again. Minus x cubed, and then minus a minus 3x. So it's minus a minus 3x squared. So minus a minus is plus 3x squared. All right, and so let's combine like terms. Notice there is a x to the fourth here, and there's no term like it, so that's going to stay the same. There's a minus x to the third here. And notice I'm doing them in order of exponents, all right? And then 4x squared plus 3x squared, so we have plus 7x squared, okay? And notice it's all the same here, okay? Now again, let's rewrite this out, okay? So 2x squared minus 7x plus 3 minus 3x squared, right? So minus a 3x squared minus a minus 5x. So this becomes plus 5x. And then minus a minus 4. This becomes plus 4. Ooh, this is a little hard to read here. Let's clean this up really quick. So maybe we just need to just write it smaller. All right. So let's try this one more time. 2x squared minus 7x plus 3 minus 3x squared plus 5x, and then minus a minus 4. This becomes plus 4. All right, so let's combine like terms. There's a 2x squared and a minus 3x squared. So let's start over here. 2x squared minus 3x squared. 2 minus 3 is a minus 1x squared. Okay, that's our biggest term, okay? Minus 7x, right here, minus 7x, and then a plus 5x. All right, so minus 7x plus 5x. Minus 7 plus 5 is minus 2x. And last but not least is 3 plus 4. 3 plus 4 is 7. And so you'll see our last term, notice they're not putting the minus 1x squared, they're just putting minus x squared, and that's perfectly fine. Minus 2x plus 7. Okay, so you have to make sure you distribute, that's the big thing here. Distribute the minus across the parentheses. Okay. All right, distributive property. We want to, and so basically kind of what we were doing in that last, we're distributing the pluses, distributing the minus. Now we're going to actually distribute a number. So let's take a look at example A, and we're going to distribute 5 to each term inside the parentheses. You need to distribute to each term inside the parentheses. That's the big thing here, okay? And so this first term is 5 times 2 is 10, plus, keep that there, then 5 times x is 5x. And that's that first term, okay? Now we're going to distribute this minus 4, right? So minus 4 times positive 3x, that is minus 12x, okay? Now minus 4 times minus y, this is plus 4y, right? And you can see the answers are the same here. And then again, so now the numbers on the right hand side instead of the left hand side, this is the most typical. A and B are the most typical. But if you do have something like C, you still distribute to each term. So minus 2 times 3 is minus 6. And then minus 2 times minus 5x is plus 10x. And you'll see the answer is still the same. All right, multiplying binomials. Now, there's this little trick called FOIL. It is first, outer, inner, and last. Okay? And so that makes sure that, so what happens is like, oh, you only multiply this and this. No, you have to multiply those two, then you have to multiply this term times this term and this term times that term. Okay, and so the first, this one right here, this to here is called first. These two terms, 4 times x right here is called inner. The two outer terms, this is called outer. And the two last terms, this is called last. Okay, and so let's do the first. X times x gives us x squared, right? Outer, x times 8 is 8x. Inner is 4 times x right here, and that is 4x. And then the last, 4 times 8 is 32. You need to combine these terms right here. So this is x squared plus 12x plus 32. So let's take a look at what the book does. Yeah, so see, it kind of does it. And so, you know, I'm showing you one way, the book is showing you another. It's basically saying you need to just make sure each term gets multiplied to the parentheses. Okay, and so that's one way to do it. I just like this acronym. I learned it as a kid, and I've taught it for many years. So it's first, outer, inner, last. And again, it's just making sure that you multiply every single term. That is going to be the key thing here. So here this is, and it's the same thing here. So typically when you're multiplying, notice how they have 4 terms. That's what you need to have. All right, and then notice these middle terms are similar, so you can combine them because they're like terms. All right, and so you're left with 3 terms. But when you're working all of your work out, you need to, it needs to start there and then end up at this one right here. All right, so let's keep practicing. Let's take a look at A. I'm going to work on A up here, okay? So again, first, 3x times x squared is 3x squared, okay? Outer 3x times 3, so this is 3 times, you can multiply unlike terms. You cannot add and subtract unlike terms. 3x times 3 gives us 9x. Inner minus 2 times x is minus 2x. And then the last two terms, minus 2 times positive 3, which is minus 6. Okay, I think it'll give us the, yeah. And so notice they combine, so this stays the same, but these are like terms. And so you can combine 9x minus 2x, and that gives us 7x minus 6. So let's take a look at B. So again, let's do first. Notice that the numbers are here and the variables are here. They switched it around, so it doesn't matter what order you're in. So first, in this case, it's going to be 12. Now outer 3 times 5x minus 3 times minus 5x, which is minus 15x. First, outer inner minus x times 4. This is minus 4x. And notice this last one, minus x, this is last, minus x times minus 5, which is positive 5x squared. Now, you want to do it in order of the highest exponent. So you're actually going to rewrite B. Oh, they didn't rewrite it. Okay, so they didn't rewrite it. But typically you can rewrite B in the order of the highest exponent of the highest exponent. All right, so let's take a look at the last problem. And so here's the answer, but I'm just going to go through. So again, first, so notice now this one is x squared. It's not just x, right? So it's x squared times 3x. So again, you can multiply any unlike terms, but you cannot add and subtract unlike terms. So x squared times 3x is going to give us 3x cubed. Outer x squared times 2x is going to give us 2x squared. Inner minus 3 times 3x, this is 9x. And last, minus 3 times 2, and this gives us 6. And so again, so in this case, notice there are no like terms. Yes, no like terms. So 3x cubed plus 2x squared. Sorry, minus 9x. I made a little mistake. So minus 3 times 3x is minus 9x, and plus 6. All right, so let's talk about multiplying monomials and polynomials. So let's take a look at A. We're going to do 2x times 4x squared. So the same principle still follows. You need to multiply this term on the outside by every single term on the inside. So let's bring A up here. So 2x times 4x squared. So again, you can multiply unlike terms, but you cannot add unlike terms. Okay, so right now we're multiplying. 2 times 4 is 8. X times x squared is x cubed. 2 times minus 3x, so that's going to be minus 6x squared, right? 2x times minus 3x squared, and then the last term, 2x times 9 is plus 18x. Okay, and so there's no unlike terms here. There's no like terms here, so that's as simplified as it gets. 8x cubed minus 6x squared plus 18x. Let's take a look at this one. The tricky thing here is going to be the minus sign. And again, multiplying each term, let's bring that up here as well. inside the parentheses. So minus 2x cubed times x to the fifth, right? So this minus 2 stays there. It's minus 2 times 1. That's the coefficient here. X cubed times x to the fifth, right? So that's minus 2x cubed times x to the fifth. 3 plus 5 is 8, so this becomes x to the 8th. Let's do the next term, minus 2x cubed times minus x. So minus and a minus is plus. That 2 stays there, and x to the third power times saying x to the first, you add those, and this becomes x to the fourth. And the last but not least, minus 2x cubed times plus 3x. So again, this is minus. 2 times 3 is 6, x to the third power. And that's as simplified as it gets. There's no like terms, right? Okay, so let's take a look at this last one. So again, you need to just make sure this x gets multiplied by everything in the parentheses, right, next to it. And this 4 also gets multiplied by everything in the parentheses. So let's do the x first. X times x squared is x cubed. X times 4x minus 4x becomes minus 4x squared. And then x times 3, this becomes plus 3x. Now let's do this. Minus 4 times x squared, this becomes minus 4x squared. Minus 4 times minus 4x, this becomes plus 16x. And minus 4 times 3, this becomes minus 12. All right, so let's combine, let's look for like terms. There is no other x cubed term, right? So that's by itself. So we're going to keep that here, x cubed. So there's a minus 4x squared and a minus 4x squared. So minus 4 becomes minus 8x squared. So notice when we're multiplying, the exponents change. When we're adding, the exponents stay the same. Okay, so now let's do x. Let's just move down the line. There's a plus 3x and a plus 16x. That becomes 19x. And then last but not least is minus 12. So let's see if this is what they got. It is. So x cubed minus 8x squared plus 19x minus 12. And you can rewrite it out here, or you can do it the way that I did it. Either one is fine. The key thing is, to make sure you multiply every term. Okay. All right. So let's take a look at this first one is called the difference of squares of two squares. Okay, notice the terms are all the same. It's y and 2, y and 2. And the only thing that's different is this guy right here. And so the difference of squares, so normally you would say, okay, multiply everything out. But because you see that everything is the same except for the addition and subtraction sign, you're actually just going to have y squared minus 4. Okay? And what ends up happening here is it's just, let me just show you why. So the first term is y squared, right? This becomes, that's the first. Let's do the outer. So minus 2y squared, minus 2y. The inner is plus 2y. And the last one is minus 4. And these cancel, and then you're just left with this. Okay, so you can see that. Now this term here, again, difference of two squares. This is the same, right? Both terms x. This is the same. So again, the difference of squares is, I'm going to write this, a plus b times a minus b. When it's like that, it's just a squared minus b squared. Okay, and so for b, so what is a squared? In this case, it's x. So this is going to be x squared. and then the last term, so minus 9y to the fourth, right? And that's what this is here, difference of two squares. All right, so again, multiplying or scoring a binomial. So basically, this is saying you're multiplying the same thing, right? X plus 7 times x plus 7. All right, so we're going to take a look at a little rule here, a plus b squared. It is like saying a plus b times a plus b, and this becomes a squared plus 2ab plus b squared. Okay, and so I'm going to show you both different ways you can plug it in. So a in this case is x, and b in this case is 7. So we're going to do the FOIL first, right? If we did FOIL, right? So x times x first is x squared. Outer is 7x. Inner is 7x. And last is 49. And so if we were to combine like terms, this is x squared plus 14x plus 49. Okay. Now, if we were to follow, it's a little written over here, but now if we were to follow this rule here, so notice a squared, a is x, so they just said x squared. So now we're going to go 2, right, times a, which is x, times b, which is 7, and then last but not least, b squared, so take 7 squared, right? And you're left with the same thing. So you can do FOIL, but if you're just multiplying the same thing, then, you know, you're able to use this formula if you can remember it. Now, if you don't remember it and you don't have it written down anywhere, then go ahead and do FOIL. But this is just a nice little rule for you here. So again, let's try this again. So in this case, a is equal to 1 and b is equal to 3. Let's do minus 3y, right? So a squared is still just 1, right? Plus 2 times 1 times minus 3y, and then minus 3y squared. So this becomes plus 9y squared. Okay, and so if we simplify that, this becomes 1 minus 6y plus 9y squared. And that's what we get here. And that is the end of, you know, polynomial sort of algebraic things that we can do. Please go on to the next section.